Hello to everybody. I'm being connected again. So it is, I nearly said Friday. No, it isn't Friday. It's Thursday. Thursday, the 16th of April. And welcome to our little afternoon tea chat with me, Sandra from Tiverton, Bead and And I can't believe there is somebody knocking on the door. I think I'm not sure. I will be back. Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. A minute in and a delivery van. Yes, I think it's another part of Martin's birthday present finally arrived. Well, he will have it later. So, as he is happy in his happy space, he has gone in allotment to dig up the plot. Not ours, but for neighboring lady. I mean, she's a lovely lady. She's older lady. She's Italian, and I hope she's not watching because if she would hear me calling her like a proper Italian mama, then she possibly would give me a smack. But she is the loveliest, loveliest lady. She is so generous, and you know everything goes through the food. Every day, if she meets us, she shows us, "Oh, I made the pasta," and all the rest of it. She's lovely. And so she was a bit struggling this year by herself to dig up her plot. And Martin yesterday promised that, oh, I will dig it up for you. So he's in his happy space. He's digging up in allotment. And what we will do today is we will come back because today is the sock day, right? And I have progressed with my sock this far, but I haven't gone far enough to start the decreases because I just need, if I want the sock to fit me, my size, then I need a longer foot. But I will show you how to start the decrease, and as well, I will stitch in the end and stitch up this little opening which we all have there on the beginning. So that we will do in a minute. Other than that, this delivery totally kicked me out of the sync. What I was going to say, what I was going to do is just kind of random at the moment. Yes, so thank you very much for coming back, and thank you very much. If you're watching, the lady will know who wrote me a lovely, lovely email yesterday about that. I shouldn't put myself much under pressure about new knitting, that she quite enjoys chatting about cooking as well. So I'm following the advice. And yes, thank you very much for your email. It was really, really nice to receive. And it kind of cheered me up a bit. So at least I know somebody is watching me. And yeah, so there we go. And possibly the good idea will be I will start showing you how I do the decreases, because that will take a little bit longer to do. Yeah, I don't want to go too far with it because, like I say, I need to still, I would say, knit another inch on a foot. Because if I measure against this sock, which fits me, you can see that this is still missing an inch to the decrease. But I will show you a couple rows in a decrease and then we will talk through, and then you can carry on in your own time. And yeah, so there. The other thing is, as I said to you yesterday, I think doing 3 or 4 days on a row, the live podcast is a bit kind of, I run out of what to say by end of the week because there is not enough time in between, not enough gaps to gather interesting information. So I have decided we will do it today. I will give you the final instructions for the sock. Then you will have enough time to crack on and finish this sock and maybe start the other one because we need a pair, don't we? And then I will be back on the Friday, the 24th of, would you believe it, it's April. And I think by then I might even already have my regular podcast filmed in the shop, but that's kind of, it is really up to things happening, because that's the other thing. Because we are all now kind of, not kind of, we are at home. And if I will say one more kind of, please shoot me, because I realized I watched one of my videos back, and yes, it's kind of my favorite word, isn't it? Right. So I will try not to repeat it again. But yeah, in a shop, things are happening. People order, the mail order is going out, but it's not like every, everything. There is no buzz, there is no interaction, and everything needs to kind of, at the moment, in a week 4 already, um, there is no more new information coming in. Everything has kind of, the life has stopped a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, I think we here in UK, we will have another, I think they announced 3 weeks at least. So yeah, so that's life. However, sock knitters, are you back onto your needles? Do you have your pen and paper ready? Right. So after the gusset, which I will show you again. I think you can kind of count how many times I say kind of. Anyway, so there, gusset. We have done our gusset. So we have gone back to 16 stitches per needle, and we are carrying on, and ignore this color change. That is just purely because I have the leftover yarns. I'm using the 3 leftover balls, and I'm trying to use them sensibly so I don't run out. And well, if the second sock will look different, so it will look different. So we will have a designer socks, one like that and one like that. So I'm not too worried, but I would like the toe to do in a grey. So I will have a grey toe for the sock. So I have a toe and the heel in grey. And as I said, I will need to knit at least another inch. But if you would like to know how long you need to knit, basically, I sometimes even have managed carefully, with adjusting the needles in the right place. You actually can pull this thing on your feet and try. And I normally start the decrease somewhere around just after the beginning of your little toe on the feet. And then it works out fine. But now then, for the toe decrease, right? So now take pen and paper and write it down. To do this kind of nice round decrease, where there is no stitching up, no Kitchener stitch, no nothing. It's just nice round toe. You have 4 needles, and in this case we have 16 stitches per needle, but whatever number of the stitches you will have, you on each needle, you mentally, or even use a stitch marker if you don't want to live dangerously, and divide your stitches in 2. If you have an even number of stitches, which means like you would have, for example, 17 stitches on a needle, and you can divide it by 2, so you have what you would have 8 and 9, and there's not a problem. That one stitch does not make any difference. But now to do the decrease, you mentally divide every needle in 2. So in this case, we will have now 8 and 8 stitches on each needle, 8 and 8. And why we're doing that? Because now we will start decrease, and decrease points will be in the middle of the needle and on the end of the needle. So the decrease will be in the middle and on end. And decrease is simply knitting 2 stitches together. And I will do a couple rounds because then otherwise I will need to unpick too many. So I don't want to go right to the end purely because it's just too many. So the first row, when you start your decrease, so as we divided by 8, so by 2, and we have 8 and 8 stitches. So I will knit 6, 4, 5, 6. I have knitted 6 stitches, and now I just knit 2 together. And again, I will knit 6, and knit 2 together. And I will carry on like that all the way around. So again, I will knit 6, and knit 2 together. And I will knit 6, and knit 2 together. So you basically, on each needle, you decrease 2 stitches. So that means 4 times 2, you have decreased on this round 8 stitches. I am not going to go more around and round because it's purely, I don't have enough lengths on the sock. So then I will lose the point where, and I will have too much unpicking to do. But now the formulation should work like that. In this case, like you had now 8 stitches in each part. So you knitted 2 together, which is the 7s and 8s, and you had 6 stitches free. Once you finish the round with decrease, now you need to knit 6 rounds without decrease, just plain, right? And then you again will do the decrease, but this time you will end up knitting 5 stitches and knitting 6 and 7s together because you have less stitches. After that, you again will knit 5 rows without decrease. So every time when you decrease, you count the stitches between the decreases, and as many stitches you have, so many rows without a decrease you will do. If you write that down, it will always work. And like I say, for example, if you have 10 stitches on a needle, you're doing something very chunky, or like you're doing, like, for example, you want your slipper, a sock slipper or something like that, which is, you can use the same formula to make this shape. Then you will have, let's say you divide and it will be 5 stitches. So you will knit 3 stitches, you will knit 2 together, you will knit 3 and 2 together. So you've done your decrease round, and how many stitches you had in between the decreases? It was 3. So that means you would knit 3 rows without 3 rounds without decrease. And then you will do your decrease again in the middle of the needle and in the end of the needle. So you again decreased 8 stitches until you have 2 stitches left on each needle. And that is your last round when you just pull the yarn through the last stitches and pull it all nicely together. So that is all. So basically the formula is, as you have, and that's where the 4 needles again come into play. If you have 3 needles, again, you can use the same formula and decrease 8 stitches, but then you need to take a calculator, divide, let's say if you had so many stitches, you need to create 8 decrease points. This way, yeah, and then they will be divided on the 3 needles, and it kind of all goes all over the place. And this way, with 4 needles, it's very clear. In the middle of the needle, end of the needle, middle of the needle, end of the needle. So you don't need to worry about it. And next time when you have knitted your rounds without decrease, again, you don't need to worry, oh, where was it? Where did I? In the middle of the needle, end of the needle. No ifs, no buts. And if you follow that, and you will realize every time you have your decrease, you're knitting 1 round less without decrease, and that creates that kind of rounded toe. And that is not like kind of magic, or it's nothing. It's just you can actually on this one you can nicely see how the decrease is kind of formed nice lines. Can you see there? And if this way is better. Can you see there is my decrease? That's been middle of the end or end of the needle, and just carry on until you can see how it kind of goes to the nothing. And that is all. No stitching up, no fancy business. I must admit, I tried this. Yeah, I mean, I have tried the Kitchener stitch on the flat toes, and in a way, to be honest, wearing these, I personally cannot see any difference in the comfort or feel or anything else. Those socks work as not the toe works as nice as any fancy finish. Yes, the fancy finish looks nice if you need to show off or take a photo, or I'm not against exquisite craftsmanship, let's put it that way. But if you want something simple, and again, if you have another method of knitting the heel, please do. If you have your favorite method of doing heel, do. But then you decide, well, actually, I want to try this toe decrease, do it. Because there is no rule that this toe can be combined only with this heel, or this heel has to be combined with this toe. So if you decide that you do prefer the flat toes, carry on. As far as the sock fits nicely, that's all that matters. So I'm easy on that. And it's not kind of my system. I nearly said kind of. Please stop me saying that. I'm getting annoyed with myself for saying that. Kind of. Yes. Yeah, anyway, so that is the toe. And as you can see, it makes a nice decrease. Kind of. Nice decrease. And this decrease, you can use, let's say, can you see the miniature hat there? I can. With the hat, the only thing is I tried to knit a baby hat, and I got too far. I knitted too much of the main hat before I started decrease. So bear in mind that this decrease is quite gently sloping. So if you look on a hat, let's say if you want to do a beanie, you nearly need to do. If I put £1 for a charity every time I say that, it would be lovely, wouldn't it? I would make thousands. Kind of. Anyway, yeah, so you can see the beanie hat there. I have tried this decrease on the hats, and as far as you don't knit on a hat too much of the base there before you start to decrease. So you need to start to decrease quite early into hat. So you can make your own hat pattern like that. Or if you want to do something fancier, you can do. And again, why I like knitting on the 4 needles, because let's imagine that, oops, well, that was only the 3 needle, but I better pick it up. Let's imagine for a minute that we are doing very, very fancy socks, and we are doing like cables. So we have a cable coming out from the top there. All the stem of the sock is cables, and then you want to continue the cables here, but you don't want to continue cables on the back of the sock or the foot part. With the 4 needles, it's very easy because you can immediately see which part of the sock. Can you see? That is, you are facing the top, and that's the bottom of the sock. So you can easily place your ornament or pattern, or if you want to do a little kind of squares or something, something interesting, you can always much easier find a place And mathematically, if you want to make your own patterns, it works so much easier. But that is me advocating for knitting socks on 4 needles. By all means, if you get on with 3, it seems like sometimes I have had people coming in the shop and they try, I can understand that when people try something first time, you don't know which way you will like doing it. You will like 3 needles, 4 needles, or even magic loop. I do like magic loop because to me, magic loop mathematically or arithmetically is very close to 4 needles because magic loop uses half of the stitches, another half of the stitches. So it works for me visually and it works for me if I want to do this kind of formula, because then I would just use one side of the needle for the heel and then just carry on. But please don't get kind of worked up about, oh, my friend said, or I said, that is the best way. That's the way how I like it. And I always try to stress to people that by all means have a go on the new things. You might find you like it. But if you don't like it, stay with where you are. Use your favorite method. There is nothing where we can say this is the only way. Take it with a pinch of salt. See how you get on. See if you like it. And yeah, so that's basically my encouragement to you, because if you don't like magic loop or you don't like knitting with circular needles, you tried it. Like I say, if you don't try it and they say I don't like it, then it's different. But if you tried it and you really don't get on, who cares? Same like, do you like metal needles or bamboo needles? Whatever rocks your boat. Everybody to its own, because we all knit slightly different. It's like handwriting. It's some needles I like and some needles I don't like. But so there we go. Oh, stitching in, and I have, because I was changing colors, I have quite a few ends to stitch in. But there we go. I will show you this one. And once you finished your toe, you obviously, once you pull your the yarn through your last stitches, which you will have 8 stitches, you will need to secure the end a normal way, how you would secure your end. So what I'm doing here, these ones are actually, well, they are quite dear for they are darning needles. It's a little set from Clover we have in a shop. I think the price is $4.90 for a set of 3 needles. What I like, it comes with this little handy tube, and there is 3 very good sizing on the needles. 3 really, really nice metal darning needles. That's another thing. I don't like these big clunky plastic needles. How on earth can you make a nice job with them? I don't know. But there is one really big for, I would say, iron weight, chunky, even super chunky can get in there. But it's a nice, reasonably sharp end. There's one very small one, which would be like lace weights or something like that. And I often use the medium size needle from the set for all the kind of everyday things. And what I will do, I'll sometimes, and how do you put needle thread in a needle? This is another question. And that applies mostly and it's beadwork as well, but for those of you who maybe don't have so much experience in craft, don't hold your needle and try to get this thing in. It will never happen. What you do, you hold your thread between your fingers, squeeze it reasonably tight, and then put your needle on. Because if you hold your needle up there and then you try to poke it, and I have seen it like this, and it's a simple thing. You hold your thread between your fingers, like so. See there? There's my little thread, and I have needle, and I just find the end, and I squash the in between the fingers. Something will get into needle. So there we go. How to thread needle. This one was a free tutorial, all right? You might be all right by yourselves because you have threaded your needles. I'm sorry, you can't see. I'm trying to hold it higher and higher. Is it my computer comes constantly slipping? Right. And now I have the little opening, and I will use an imitation of a mattress stitch. And all I'm doing is gently picking from the top, side by side, stitch by stitch. Because I'm using the tail end anyway, which you would be stitching in afterwards. And I'm trying to carefully pick the sides. Oh, we're nearly there. Are we there? See? Disappeared. Magic. And now you use your normal method. Sometimes I do use half hitch knots, especially there on the top, because not often, but here I don't want the yarn to slip out when you will be pulling your socks on. If it's a shawl, then I wouldn't worry about half hitch knots. And then I'm just weaving, oh, lost it. On the other side, I will just weave back and forth a little bit. And then I can cut it off if I would have scissors. And this time I will need to go and get scissors if I want to cut it, because this one I can't just use brutal force and tear it off, because I need to have a nice finish. So there you go. So there's my end stitched in, stitched up, and nobody would ever even notice that you had an opening there for the easy cast on. Oh, another thing is, like, while I'm drinking coffee, while I'm at it, oh, it was so funny because I meant to tell that story while I'm doing the decrease, the rounds and a decrease, which I'm obviously not. When I moved to England, I started my business. I started the wholesale of costume jewelry. I was importing costume jewelry from Bohemian glass factories, and it was all very well. But I was working from home, and I felt like I need to speak with some other people except Martin. And I decided, because back home I did finish flower arranging course. I had diploma in flower arranging, and I thought, oh, what can I do? The college is next door. I will go to floristry class. And they had floristry courses, like, I think there was 3 years City and Guilds course, and this, that, another. And then between that, I decided to go to local flower club. I didn't have a clue what English clubs, like gardening clubs, flower clubs, what it's all about. I did not have a clue. You have very, very unique system here. Nowhere else in the world we have things like that, like voluntary clubs with memberships and all the rest of it. So anyway, so I wandered down to local church hall, kind of scared people to death with my Eastern European accent, 6 foot tall. I would have a look. So there was a demonstration, classic flower club evening or afternoon, and I will always remember you meet these people, and I think the lady on the door, there was, if you're not a member, there was a fee to pay on the door, like, I don't know, I can't remember, £1, £2, something along those lines. And then she kind of looked panically around, and she said, oh, I know, Nora will look after you. Nora, if you are watching, you are nearly my first English lady I was introduced to. And I call English lady because in my little understanding of Englishness, you were the epitome of English lady. Quiet, smart, very well spoken, very polite, and Absolutely lovely. And yes, so you explained to me what's going on, what's to do with chairs and all the rest of it, and we still exchange Christmas cards, which is now nearly 20 years later. So it's all very nice. And when did I start? Yeah, and then the flower club. Couple months in, they had a garden party in somebody's house, and I was getting used to this. After the club meetings, everybody has tea and a biscuit. And yeah, I can manage tea with a milk once a week or once a month. That's all right because I put my tea with lemon and honey. That's how I like my tea, or I drink herbal teas. So, long story short, so we go to this garden club, flower club garden party. A lovely house and lovely gardens. And I arrive, and whatever there was, you need to bring in whatever there was there. I can't remember, but I remember my shock when I walked through the door and there was a little printed sign, cream teas to the left. I'm like, okay, I can manage milk in my tea, but to put cream in your tea, that is too much. That is just too much for me. And there, I think it was my good friend Nora comes over and says, "Oh, would you like to have cream tea?" And I was like, "Oh, do you have a coffee?" It's because I was terrified that you need to put the cream in the tea. And oh yeah, we could do. Oh yeah, there's coffee as well. So I walked in there. There was like the kitchen area. They were all lovely serving cream teas. So they made me special coffee. And oh, scones, yes. Don't even go in there with jam first or cream first or clotted cream first. But anyway, so I was there munching in my scones and cream and jam and having my coffee. And somebody came over, oh, do you like English cream teas then? And I'm like, no, I'm having coffee. So, and only when I came home, Martin was cracking. I said, like, what's this cream tea? Like, you really don't put cream in the tea because it still didn't lock on. And he was absolutely cracking, basically, about my experience with English cream teas. But yeah, so it was good times we had. Yeah, and Flower Club was good. So they're still going. And one day, we'll go back. Yeah, and then I ended up going to college for, yeah, I did 2 years, didn't I? Yes, I actually have City and Guild in floristry. So there, bragging. So if anybody is looking for a florist, here I am. And yeah, I quite enjoyed it. And I must admit, I enjoyed more the flower club side because I really like the competition. I'm not competitive at all, but I just love the competition, like area shows and everything else and preparation for it. So, oh yes, oh yeah, and then I did, of course, from the flower club. We went, and then I went to Bigton College as well for the. I didn't know there is difference between flower arranging and floristry. I did find it out that, yeah, and then I think I have City and Guilds in the flower arranging as well. So yes, there was good times. I was enjoying myself, but that was when I was working from home and I had time to, I can arrange my time around. Since I had a shop now for like 13 years, it's been a bit difficult. But that's another thing I will do next week because my favorite place for drawing classes, they have put online. Oops, I'm kind of waving. They have put online information about online courses. I really love the place. I had the notification I think more than a week ago, and to be honest, I just haven't had my mindset to look at it. And I definitely would like to try one of the online classes because I don't know what will be included in online class. I presume there will be video and there will be some printed material which you can use. But I would like to try the colored pencil drawings, botanical drawings. It's really, really addictive. It's very slow, but it's very addictive. So if anybody of you are that way inclined, do have a look on the old kennels. They are based in Dunkerswell, and they have all sorts of classes which they now this year obviously had to cancel, and that's why the drawing classes which were there, like not one-to-one session, but you went there for the class with the tutor and the group. So yeah, so now it's all online, so we will see. I might let you know next Friday, 3 o'clock, what's going on. And by that time, I hope I will finish the sock, and I hope you have finished one as well. So please email or post on a Facebook send me a picture of your socks if you're doing it. And of course, if you have questions, please again contact us through the website or through to Facebook or Instagram for that matter. Having said that, Instagram, I found I had some messages 4 weeks ago which I didn't know I had. But anyway, so enjoy your weekends. Thank you very much for watching, and I will be back. So thank you, and I will see you soon.